So today what I'm going to do is get out another vehicle which has been in a shed for a very long time, probably 12 years this one. It's in this blue container behind me here, and it's a very rare car. I think a really interesting car. I love it. I bought it when I was 15, and it's an 80s hot hatch, a very rare one. I think quite an underrated one, and actually all the reviews say they're underrated, but it's based on an absolute 80s icon, probably one of the greatest ever hot hatches regarded as. So it's got some good pedigree behind it, and I think you'll like it. I'm just a bit concerned about what state it's in. When it went in there, it was a very solid, never been welded. I think it's done 58,000 miles, something like that. It's local to my area, bought at a local dealership. I'm not going to say what it is yet. I'll give you a little hint. It's French. I mean, that's quite a big hint, and I get. But anyway, as always, it's not straightforward. It's not just a case of getting it out the shed. First, I've got to move this lorry, this old horse lorry, which once upon a time we were converting into a glamping unit, and now it's on the scrap heap. I've got to move the car which is in front of it, but actually moving this lorry isn't going to be easy. Last time I started it, I snapped the prop shaft. The brakes are seized on, so I'm going to have to get the old Nuffield out and see if she'll drag her. I'll probably have to wind the brakes off if they'll come off. Drag her out the way, then I'll be able to get to the car, and then we can do the big reveal. So we've got the lorry out of the way, moved all the bits and pieces, so now we can actually get to the container. And as you can see, I've opened up the door. This is a former horse lorry back. Right, now you can see the rough outline of the car. Got an old 70s Suzuki, I think that's an A100 motorbike, a little 100cc two-stroke, and in there is a little Honda Express, which I actually used when I was 16. Not for very long because it was too slow. I went for something Italian, but anyway, here's the car. So you may be able to guess from the roof line. I doubt it. Now I'm just going to move the bike, move these couple of MX-5 doors, and have a proper look around it. And I'm going to keep my fingers crossed here because I haven't had a proper look at it for probably 5 years, and things can deteriorate quite quickly in that amount of time, especially down here by the sea in Cornwall. So right, we're gonna go have a look and hope for the best. Hopefully she's still sound. I've got a funny story about these doors, which I'm just going to move out of the way. These MX-5 doors, so I've had these since uni, because when I was back in uni I was buying from a big car breaker who dealt with like insurance write-offs and stuff. They would auction off parts of the car, and I was buying car parts on this auction site and then selling them on like eBay and stuff. And anyway, I was living in a flat at the time up in Cardiff, and I remember coming down the lift, and I had the lift literally full of car parts, and it was like quite out of context, I guess. And anyway, a car door got stuck in the lift, and it had to ask the maintenance man to come, and there's just like a lift full of car parts. I think he was a bit confused. But anyway, that's a funny story. I'll just get this stuff out of the way. Reveal. So we're ready for the big reveal. Do I need to add any context to this? I'm just thinking, got abs here.
Where did you get it from? What's the story?
Well, I bought it when I was 15. I really liked the look of it, and I went up to the guy. He was an older guy that had it in Tesco car park, and I said, "Oh, I really like your car."
Hang on, can I stop you there? You were 15?
Yeah.
So you couldn't even drive when you bought this car?
Well, I was driving around the field like an absolute
What did he think
but...
of a 15-year-old coming and asking about his car?
Yeah, I mean, I guess he was probably surprised, but anyway, and ended up getting it, but not actually through that lead. Well, I bought quite a lot of cars through that, but actually my dad ended up getting it because it turned out he knew the owner, the original owner of the car, who had it for about 15 years. This is the really weird thing. I had actually ridden in this car as a baby.
God.
With my mother and my parents' friend who happened to own this car, and I didn't know that at the time. And it was only when I was talking to my dad about it over dinner like that evening, and he was like, yeah, I know the car, and that belonged to, he was called Steve, the guy who owned it. So it's got some family history, but I did strip it down a bit. So the reason it's not got some of its trim on and that, because I didn't want water collecting. So when I put it into storage, I stripped it down to oil everything. So it's not going to be looking its best, and it is covered in oil, but hopefully she's solid. And this is genuinely the first time I've looked at it in years. So are we ready?
Yeah, let's go.
Citroen Visa GTI. Very rare car. I think I checked on how many left. I think there's one left. It's got all of its original dealer stickers, BBC Radio Cornwall, Cornish number plate, and there she is. Let us look around it and see what it's like. Yeah. Basically, we sprayed it in waste engine oil and a mixture of diesel. I don't quite like these little blemishes on the roof, but it's not bad. I took the gutter trim pieces off, stuff like that, just so that it wouldn't collect water in here. And it is literally drowned in oil. So, right, I'm going to check out the interior. Oh, the interior is so good. Slightly lower mileage than I thought. It's actually 56,000. The interior is literally epic. What do you think, Abs? Look at the seats.
Like a tartan. Tartan and a red trim. Are they wool?
I don't
Is it
quite know
wool?
what the
I think it's
technical term for the
wool.
material is.
They look like wool seats.
Aren't they brilliant though?
They are so cool. I actually do quite like the red trim. I thought it's sort of like granny. It's like a granny racer.
Granny racer? I don't know if that's quite what they were going for in the brief. The marketing team.
I know, but it's like the tartan on the seats.
Check
and
out the
stuff.
steering wheel.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Nice free spoke
It
steering
looks like a
wheel.
little racer actually. It's like a little
rev
speed.
counter.
I like the little.
Yeah, that's sort of mirrors.
Yeah, they're cool.
Yeah. Az, have a look at its original Pioneer radio.
Very nice.
Oh, the headlining's sagging. I hate that.
Oh no.
I hate it when the headlining sags.
Oh, what do you do about that?
Well, you can get it done. That's a job I won't do myself because I've tried it before and never get it right.
No. The interior really is in good nick.
See the mileage there? Is it 56,000?
56,000.
Yeah. So the little Visa GTI, to give you a little bit of history about them, because I do love my Visas. I got into them originally because I had a diesel as a field car. It's called a Visa Leader. But they're an 80s hot hatch. They share, I think I said earlier that they're based on an 80s icon. That's not actually true. I don't know why I said that, but I did. But they share a lot of components with an 80s classic, and that 80s icon is the 205 GTI. So this shares the same engine, same gearbox, and a lot of the same brakes, suspension, running gear, that sort of stuff with the 205 GTI. So it has got some exemplary pedigree there. Now with that actually means, despite this being a very rare car, it means I can do quite a lot with it, and one of those things is I've actually taken the original engine out, and they only did these in a 1.6. You could get them in 105 brake horsepower, the later ones in the 115 brake horsepower. Same engine as the 1.6 205 GTI. They never did a 1.9 in the Visa. But anyway, I want to keep this car forever. I'm never going to sell it, and with that I've got the original engine, but I'm not necessarily going to use that. The engine's actually out of it now. It was a bit smoky and it needed a rebuild anyway, and the engine's been around the block, that's another story. But I want to put a 306 GTI 6 or Zara VTS 2-litre 16 valve engine in it. Originally I was thinking about MI16, but now I'm thinking the GTI 6, and I just think they're a great engine. 170 horsepower, I get a bit more out of it again with a little bit of tuning, and I would quite like to do some sort of classic track days. And I know it's an original low mileage car, but I'm still going to look after it. It won't be driven much, and I very much doubt I'll drive it much on the road. It's always going to be like a thing I sort of cherish, more of an ornament, but I still do want to drive it. But that's probably going to be a few years down the line, so sadly this video is not really going to go anywhere other than like the big reveal. But yeah, that's the plan. And so for the purists, yeah, okay, I know I'm not keeping it original by doing that, but I still have the original components if I ever want to put it back to original, and cosmetically it will be original. I'm going to keep it on its little 13-inch alloys, which you may recognise probably from the Citroen AX GT and GTI. So I'll get some nice semi-slick tyres on it, sort the suspension out, sort the brakes out, probably upgrade the brakes, get some more horses under the bonnet, and this will drive exceptionally well. Now, I've read a lot of the old magazine cutouts and stuff for these Visas, and reputedly they actually handle better than a 205 GTI. Yes, that is right. And I think they're a little bit lighter too. Not as aerodynamic, but I think they're a bit lighter. So it's actually, with 180 horses, she would be a very potent little machine. So that's why I love it, and bits readily available, not bodily or anything like that, but mechanically bits are readily available. So gonna have a lot of fun with this. I hope you've enjoyed seeing the reveal of my Visa GTI, and maybe in 6 months time, or maybe longer than that, I'm gonna do an update. I'm gonna get it out, get it on the road, do what I want to do to it, and use it a little bit. So there she is, the Visa GTI, which I bought when I was 15. Cheers. So if anyone's actually interested in a bit of a history on the Visa GTI, it was definitely an unexpected hot hatch of the 80s, based on the slightly awkward looking unsporty shell, but it was of course married to the potent and fiery little 1600 engine from the 205 GTI. It never had the commercial appeal of the 205 because of its looks and flimsy build quality. However, it was definitely as fun and as capable as most of them to drive. And for me, the quirky, ugly looks just make it that little bit more appealing. The addition of the twin headlights and the aftermarket body kit on the GTI I think look quite cool and retro, and it is a very unique little vehicle. They're only made between 85 and 88, and I actually can't believe that there's only one left on the road, with I think a further 18 on Sawn. But there we go, that is the little Visa GTI.